right. Looks so much better, Doctor. Looks so much better, Dr. Fowler, when that works. Good evening, everybody. It's Darren Gway, CPS Punisher, with my lovely co-host, Corey. Well, I don't know where Corey went to, but he'll come around, I guess.
Hey, we're still here.
All right, there's Corey. Corey, you here?
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't have you.
Say, Darren, can you maybe kill the music? Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Can you just...
There we go.
Yes.
Thanks.
There's that goes. But now we got to find Corey here. Hey, Corey.
Yes, sir.
There he is. All right, there's Mr. Corey Copeland. So, guys, Monday we were off. We had personal businesses that we needed to take care of. But here we are back today. It's Wednesday, January 10th, and a lot has been going on in CPS. We have a special guest tonight, actually, that'll be joining us in a minute. Yeah, that being said, Dr. Fowler, as usual, why don't you start us with this thing?
Good evening, my dear. You know, I'm hearing some background noise. I don't know if
there must be a TV on or something, maybe?
Yeah, it's my mom. She's
I see.
Conversation. Okay, and we can't see Corey. Should we be able to see him?
Corey's here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I can't see him.
Here. You see him underneath us here.
I don't see him.
He's here.
But anyway. Okay, well, if you say he's visible, then he is. I can't see him.
He's here.
Okay. Well, welcome to our viewers near and far, those who are joining us live, and those who will join us later. I'm Dr. Tanya Fowler. I'm pleased to be a delegate to Men in the Trenches. It's my pleasure to join Darren and Corey Copeland tonight. I would like to offer that I'm here as a delegate to reach out to the public, to politicians, to men and women of note, to inspire them to hear more, understand more about the dire straits of Child Protective Services in America, and to rally to make the most urgent political change that we need, which begins with re-examining and really beginning to change our funding for this organization, and also inform the larger public about the risk that it poses to children and families. So before we go any further, could we say a few words of prayer, if you guys don't mind?
Yes.
God first, family first. Our motto also is God made us and we save us.
Mm-hmm.
Most merciful Mother and Father, God creative forces, we offer up our thanks this day for our ancestors on our mother's side and our ancestors on our father's side. We offer our thanks for the spirits, the forces of nature, for our descendants to the nth generation. We offer our thanks for giving us life, health, and strength today. We are ever so thankful. We are especially thankful for the life and the energy of the men out there all across the world, but especially in our country, those men who are fathers, those who are able to be fathers, and those who are not able to father. We offer up our thanks, our words of healing, encouragement, and care, and especially for those fathers who are grieved as we are, Lord. Please look upon them with your favor. Please uplift them and rally to them in their hour of need. Merciful Jesus, please keep them strong and keep them capable. For those fathers who grieve, please grieve not, because there is never a time when Jesus is not with you. For those fathers who feel lonely and alone, do not be lonely and alone. Reach out. We are here. For the mothers also, for the children also, and wherever our children are, we pray, merciful Jesus, that you will continue to send your angels of protection and guidance with them and with all of the people who are caring for them. And for all of the other prayers and petitions embedded in their hearts, merciful Jesus, please grant them. And these things we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
God, that's always good, fella. It's real good stuff. And
Thank you,
I
my
wanted to, I
brother.
just wanted, I guess we had some comments the other day. I just would like to address that for a moment. To a couple of people had said, something along the lines of with the prayer or something opening with the prayer or whatever. Well, guess what? This is America. This is our show. If you're not into that stuff, change the channel, man. That's all I got to say to you. Move on. There's other things to watch. If you don't like what we're doing here, pass it by. That's it. You don't have to sit and gripe and complain about it. You don't need to make it mockery and ruin anybody else's time about it. If you don't like something, this is the best part about America. You have the choice to go ahead and move on. So please, if you don't like what we're doing, don't let the channel hit you in the ass on the way out. That being said, Fowler, you had a tough week. Corey had a tough week. We all had a tough week. We have a special guest on here tonight that we're going to get to here in a second. But I wanted to talk about this. I want to talk about this election that's coming up in this next year.
Sure.
This is, I don't want to get into the politics of things, and I don't want to talk about who's better than who and who's better than not. I think any person that runs and decides that CPS is not the thing for our country and they want to abolish CPS, I think that they've got a good they got a good leg to stand on for this next election. But I also believe that all these politicians are underestimating the power of our vote. And by our vote, I mean the people that are affected and have been affected by CPS. My math tells me this. My math tells me over the past 10 years, 20 years, there's been 10 million kids that have been taken into CPS custody. Now, I always say for every one child that was taken, there's 10 people that are affected by it, meaning family members, meaning, so on and so forth, people, friends, uncles, all that. So you got 10 millions and you multiply that by 10, that's 100 million people that we could have come out at this next vote. And, you get 100 million people to vote for a vote that only held 150 million people voting in the last one. That's a sizable number. And that is a number I think that could be true. And I think that's a number that we could rally up amongst the people that have been affected by CPS and really make a difference in this next November runnings. And we got 10 months, I think, till our next election. And, if we could start putting it out there to get these people that have been isolated, that have been put in the closet, put on the shelf, have been completely just railroaded by CPS and their procedures and what they've done, we could get them out there and show that they are of purpose, and then we can change this stigma and we could get that in the election front. Man, we can make some damn big things happen. I mean, we potentially could pick the next president of the United States just on that one running platform alone. I mean, the amount of people that have been affected by Child Protective Services, that's not even talking about the 3.2 million people that were, investigated last year at some point in time. That's just talking about the people, the numbers that I came up with are the kids that have actually been taken into custody. So imagine if you do those numbers where you add the additional investigations. I mean, there's a lot of people in this country alone that CPS has screwed over, and they are angry and they want to say something about the vote. And I think this is it. This is when it's time. It's our push, because we don't need another 4 years of sitting around going, what are we going to do now? What can we do? This is our time. We got 9 months. And I think this is something that we all need to really harp on. Thoughts, anyone?
Certainly. One of my first thoughts, well, I do absolutely wish to address exactly what you just said, but for the purposes of our viewers who are not entirely familiar with why we're here, what we're doing, and why we feel that we really oppose CPS. For those of you who are not familiar, or those of you who are just beginning to be familiar, CPS stands for Child Protective Services. And when you first hear that word or that phrase, Child Protective Services, it's quite natural that you would assume that in the benign interest of the family, that the American government has sponsored a child welfare system that will come in and remove children from errant parents who are either found to be abusive or neglectful towards their children. And in some cases, that is what happens. Most Parents, however, who have had their children removed or who have had CPS involvement have done nothing at all to to pose a risk of harm to their children. Our statistics show us that 85% of the CPS interventions are unfounded, which means that only 15% or thereabouts are cases that are actually founded where the children are in need. Conversely, then think of it this way: 85% of the children who are being abused or neglected are not getting the services. A goodly portion of the girls, some figures say 30%, are embarked upon. And I think the audience knows what I mean when I say
Right.
that. From age 0 into any age at all. One of the primary ages for seizing children is right around the adolescent period. They're very highly sought after and brand new infants. So, again, for those of you who don't know, imagine this. It's a typical scenario. Imagine a couple that just got married. They're living together in nuptial bliss. There is a jealous ex paramour, ex wife, ex boyfriend, ex girlfriend, or someone like that who decides that they're going to hurt the couple when there are children involved. So they make a malicious, vindictive, untrue call to Child Protective Services alleging anything. They allege that they're hanging the children out of the window by their necks. Every time CPS gets a phone call, they have essentially a mandate where they have to perform an investigation. So the next thing you know, there's a CPS social worker at your house, and you don't know. You think that the person is here for simply benign reasons. After all, you've done nothing wrong. You invite them into your homes. Of course, they can interview your children to prove that there is nothing wrong, that you have not abused and you have not neglected your children. And you're certain that things are going to go well. They're going to perform this initial investigation. It isn't going to announce too much, and then they'll leave. What happens, however, and again, 85% of the times, is that that social worker is never going to leave your life if that individual can help it, because there is an extraordinary dollar incentive into the trillions of dollars for this system. What we want to be, a benign system that protects children, is actually superordinately a system that relies on, is it Title IV funds? Do I have the title right,
Yes,
Darren?
ma'am.
It relies on Title IV funds. Those are the same funds that pay for Social Security. They share that pot of money. And for each child that is seized from a family, guess what? The CPS and their assistive agencies and all of the other vendors and the stakeholders make massive amounts of money for each seizure. The longer they can keep the children in the system, the more money there is. Some social workers have such a dollar incentive that they will literally find ways to criminalize the parents or to paralyze the parents' authority over their children, physically take the children, oftentimes with the assistance of law enforcement, which isn't lawful, and take the children and put them away someplace in anonymous foster care, sometimes hours away from their parents. And thus begins the process of parents being compelled to achieve certain benchmarks to get their children back. What are the benchmarks? They vary. Typically, they're benchmarks like, okay, obtain new housing, get a newer, better job, undergo drug testing and screening, undergo counseling, undergo any other number of things. But what happens often, especially with couples, is that the more the couples try to meet the benchmarks, the more they can't, because the more the benchmarks change, and there is a decided interest in the social workers wedging themselves between the couples. It's a standard for them to say to the husband, don't support the wife, or you have to leave the household in order to get your children back, or you have to betray your wife, or isn't he abusive? Tell us now. If you tell us that he's abusive, then we can help you. And there are so many devices to separate children from their families. And once they're gone, out of your direct care and control, woe betide you. The mechanism for retrieving your children is typically very long, very convoluted, very expensive, very frustrating, and very deleterious to the whole health and well-being of the family. That's just to bring people up to where we are. And when you're talking about the political climate, what's helping our movement to gain momentum isn't even what's happening to our children who are native children to this land or who've been nativized in this land. It is the trafficking of children from other places who have been forced to be here that is raising public awareness and the awareness of our political figures. That's just the way it is. So we do have some better informed politicians who are beginning to speak out about child trafficking. By the way, believe it or not, some figures say that about 30% of the children who are seized, kidnapped, by Child Protective Services are then outsourced. That means trafficked out of the country and into other places. So many of these children end up missing forever. What happens to them? They are trafficked. They're trafficked. Their organs are harvested. Their little bodies are trafficked to certain people for certain purposes that for which I won't say exactly, but I think you can construe what I mean, and for any other purposes. Many of them are trafficked to adoptive parents that are not really supposed to be adoptive parents, or foster parents that are not at all supposed to ever look at children, where they are harmed, debased, abused, and alienated from their parents. So we're looking to those politicians who are godly and who at least believe in the sanctity of the family to arise and to use their voices to begin to dismantle this system, to snatch away, first of all, the dollar incentive. If we can defund law enforcement, and if we can defund basically order in our society, we can easily defund this institution and refund our own parent and family driven system of taking care of children. We're perfectly capable of doing that. And one of my personal goals, pardon me for the monopoly, soliloquy, sorry. One of my personal goals here is to see to it that I get in there, wherever there are people of influence, and take away the immunity of this system. And by that, CPS and all of its agents and all of its assigns and all of its subcontractors lay claim to something called sovereign immunity. When that social worker that I just described went into your home and took your children away because you're a lovely, happy couple and you had that vindictive phone call, when you want to say, oh my God, no, this isn't right, I want to press charges against the social worker, you can't. If you say, but I want to press charges for kidnapping because she took my baby from the hospital, you can't. If you say, but yes, I want to press charges against the judge because the judge is hearing false testimony, you can't. If you say, yes, but I want to correct the record, I didn't do anything wrong, I want my name expunged from the child line, I didn't do anything wrong, you can't. If you want to bring any of these people to justice right now, you can't. It is summarily unconstitutional for any entity in these United States and its territories to have immunity. But CPS does because it is its own unique system. It's not a civil court system, which we can easily understand. It isn't a criminal system, again, which we can easily understand. In both of those systems, we can navigate. If we have the right helps, we don't always achieve the desired outcomes, but at least we know how it goes. You know, when you're arrested, that you have the right to have your Miranda rights read to you. We know that you have the right to counsel. We know that you have the right not to incriminate yourself. When you're involved in a child dependency case, guess what? The law inscribes rights to you. Good luck achieving them.
I want to almost close the show after just saying that rant, Fowler, because I mean, how much more true could it be? Damn, that was great. That was good stuff. And thank you for educating everybody and letting everybody know the truth, because we don't get enough of that. We don't get enough of the truth. I know that we have Tiana's backstage here waiting to come on and tell us her story. But Corey, do you have anything you want to add to that opening here before we get to Tiana?
Pretty much word for word of what she said.
Yeah, right. How do you follow that one up? That's a tough follow up.
It's exactly right.
I'm gonna go with what she said. Whatever that one what she said right there.
What she said.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then I'm gonna bring on Miss Tiana here. I don't have a lot of information on her, but I do know is that she got completely rung through the ringer. Let me see. She's Tiana, you're here, right?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Tiana, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? What you got going on with CPS? What you got going?
Pardon me, Darren. Do you mind if we say hi? Hi, Tiana.
Not at all. Go for it.
Welcome to Men of the Trenches. And one more thing, Darren, pardon me, before we continue with Tiana, I see a banner here, and I don't know if you wrote that, but it says here that there's an estimated $3.5 million per child by adoption. Did you write that?
That's our stats. That comes from us. So every child that CPS takes, the estimated amount that they get is 3.5 million. That's it. So, I mean, if you want to know what the incentives are, that's it. And I guess the breakdown of that is 500,000 goes to CPS directly, and the 3 million goes to your state. So watch out, people, when your states are balancing budgets, go ahead and look to those numbers, and I bet you're going to find how it's being budgeted. But I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. And it's a tough run, but all of us are in it together. So we're going to fight together to get out of this. So yeah, Tiana, here we are. We're with you. Are you from Texas?
No. I'm from California, but I live in Arizona.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Do you want to fill us in a little bit about your situation?
Okay. This is like my first time really ever explaining it. So if I'm a little scatterbrained, I'm sorry. Let's see. Okay. So my daughter is 11. Her name is Jada Lynn. When was it? December of 2021. My daughter came home from school and told me that somebody had came and talked to her. And I was like, well, who was it? You know, I'm trying to get information from her. I called the school and they said that somebody did come talk to my daughter, but they couldn't give me the information. And prior to this, we had been in California for a while doing the visit because it was my nephew's son's birthday. So Jada had missed like a little bit of school. So, long story short, I finally figured out that it was a CPS investigator. I, like many other people, I invited her over. I said, here you go, come over, like, here's my house. I know. I didn't know at the time. Right. And so she comes and she asked me all these questions. She told me that she had this report on her desk for a while now, that she didn't really even understand why she was here. The report said, I guess, that somebody seen me do a third degree burglary with my daughter in the car, all kinds of things. And so that happens. And she goes, well, I don't understand why I'm here. So she leaves. All of a sudden, she comes back. I believe it was like 2 days later. And she told me I had an hour to find somewhere for my daughter to go.
What?
Yeah. I looked at her, I said, I'm sorry, what? Okay. So I'm over here just crying. I don't know anybody in Arizona. I don't have family out here. And I'm just going through my phone, just looking. And she's just, as I'm crying and doing this, she's like trying to like shove this paper in my face. Like, here, sign this. I'm like, oh, my friend. But I was like, bitch, please, like, I have an hour. Like, so she took my daughter from school. I found somebody, she was like we call her cousin. So we were able to do a kinship. They took my daughter from school. And long story short, she was with kinship. And just recently, about a few months ago, my daughter, while she was in kinship, because of, mind you, I had done everything they asked me to, the family drug court, the droppings, IOP classes. I mean, everything. I was doing everything. I got my chip, and I got approved for overnight visits. And my worker at the time, I believe it was my third worker at the time, she
Yeah.
told me I did not get approved. I said, I'm sorry, what? It's in the court record. So right then I stopped doing everything. I stopped being compliant. And at the time, I hadn't even seen what the investigator had said in my report. You know, I was kind of just going off what I was being heard or what I heard. And I was like, hold on a second. Let me back up a minute. Like, I haven't even seen what you people are even claiming. And man, oh man, I was like, what? Everything in that report was just a straight out lie. And the investigator, all she did was contradict herself. She said that because my daughter is partially deaf in both ears and she's on an IEP, so so she was really hard for me to work with when she was younger, you know.
Right.
And the investigator was like, "Oh yeah, she's up, she's up to date with all her records. She's good. She has no marks." But then she goes and says that I'm a horrible parent, that I can't parent my kids. Wait, what? Under what allegations? Just because of what whoever called said? That's crazy. And I didn't know all this at the time. And I was so far into my case that all my lawyers that kept saying, no, you just got to let the past go. You can't fight it. Da 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 da. And I'm like, no way. There has to be a way because I didn't even know any of this, you know?
Right. Right.
And so my daughter is still in CPS. And I just got her away from kinship because they were beating her. Um, kinship
They were
had came.
beating her?
Yeah. Kinship dropped my daughter off to me at 12:30 at night with no shoes, and I go
What?
in the house. Yes, knowing I'm not even allowed to have my daughter alone. Okay, at all. Like I had unsupervised visits, then they put me back to supervised visits, and dropped my daughter off. And my daughter, I walk into her room and I go, "What's going on, baby?" And she shows me all these bite marks and marks on her, and told me
Oof.
about yeah, they would put her in a shed when she would cry because they didn't want to hear her cry because my daughter's
They put her in
tantrum
fucking shit.
normal. Yeah. And so I let her, I wrote my worker and I wrote my lawyer and I said, look, I'm not letting my daughter go back. So I'm keeping her for the night, period. We can figure out what to do. I made a police report, everything. And the next day they came and got Jada. And now they have her 2 hours away from me, even though there was another place she could have went here that was approved. My worker said, "Oh no, he thought Jada would disrupt their family." So he has my daughter 2 hours away from me and in a group home. And ever since she's been gone, she's been jumped. She's she's been through a lot. And let me tell you, for
Yeah.
somebody who's 11, she's one of the strongest little girls I've ever met. And
Yeah.
she keeps me going. You know, she's my rock and she's my best friend. And like our bond is out of control. And it's
No,
just crazy that she's
that's
gone.
no. Do you get to speak to her still?
Yes, I actually got lucky. You know, when they removed her too, I didn't know. I didn't even notice it, but the removal paper didn't even have a court stamp on it. Like,
Really? Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. But I talk to my daughter every day. She calls me every day. The group home that she's at, the
Okay.
house manager there, she's actually really cool, and she even wrote a letter to the judge saying like, "You have this wrong. Jadalyn needs to be with her mom." Like, so
Oh, good. Good.
it's
So on
really
that aspect, her life is kind of settled down as best as it could be. Then she's
yeah.
around better people and people that are supporting her and everything.
Better as in adult wise, yes, but like I said, she already got jumped 2 times what since she's been at that group home.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I hate when she calls crying because there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. There's no worse feeling than being a parent, and there's not a damn thing you can do. And it's not because you're physically incapable. It's not because you're incapable for any other reason than some jerk told you that you couldn't be there for your kid. That's the only thing
Yeah,
that separates that between you and your kid wouldn't be in that situation if you were with your child. Like, and
yeah,
this is what's disgusting about this stuff. And all of this stuff comes off of baseless, false allegations against you, correct?
correct. And I even did everything they asked, and that's what's mind blowing. Like I'm doing everything they asked, and yet you still are keeping my kids from me. Like, it makes no sense. Like, and I don't know. So now I
What were
thought,
some of the things what were some of the hoops that they were having you jump through?
so I had to do drug testing. I had to do IOPs, and I had to do what was it? My family drug court.
And
So
drugs weren't really even an issue, right?
no, I did in the very, very, very beginning. One time I dropped 30. That was it. For that, till this day, I haven't even dropped 30 for them.
Right. And that
And
was
it's,
probably their fault at the beginning time anyway. So the hell
yep.
with them. Like they probably tested you positive for no reason because
Oh
that's what
my
they
God,
do.
yes. They have been doing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
I was like, no way. I even pay. It got to the point where now I pay to go and do it. So I'm not doing it with anybody connected to CPS. And now they're trying to say that they can't accept that.
Right. They can't accept it. Even though it's not against the law, it's not against
Yep.
even their own policy or their procedures that you can't do that. They're just doing that again to get control of the situation. If they want you to be dirty with your urine screens and all of that stuff, then you're going to be dirty. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're coming into people's homes saying, here, pee in a cup in my home. That is completely irrelevant and unproductive because number one, you're not a laboratory. You aren't lab people. There's no order of collection. There's no order of, um, you know, rules and standards and cleanliness. There's none of that stuff. And for them to say that you have to go to somewhere to get tested that should just tell you that there's a jack in the box, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you can only go here. Well, why is that? Why can I go to a certified doctor and my doctor will test me and I'm clean, but yet I come here and I'm dirty every time, but you guys won't accept these? Well, I'll tell you this. Hopefully your lawyer submitted your test that you went and got separately. I hope they at least submitted it so they got it in the record for you.
Oh yeah, she did, but it's just crazy because well, now I'm doing it per se. I finally was able to appeal it, and I finally they accepted my appeal. So I'm just doing this
Congratulations.
myself now.
Congratulations on that.
I know, I'm so
That must just
excited.
getting your appeal accepted must have been a massive weight off your shoulders.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to tell them. I'm ready to you know, show them
Right.
how
Because
I
now
did.
you're in a courtroom that actually goes by the law. This isn't a
Yes,
district court that's going to just go with whatever they want to say, their pockets are greased, that there's all of these things. Now you got to go to an appeals court that actually has to uphold and recognize that there are legality and legal issues and the law has been broken and it's unlawful and so on and so forth. And you would hope
yep.
that the corruption doesn't run that rampant. But if it does, we're going to move on and fight. We'll fight harder the next place, but at least we're in this law-abiding court system.
Oh
How
yeah,
long
I'm
is
not
it
getting
that
it.
you're I'm sorry. How long has your daughter been gone now?
She's been gone since 2021.
21. So 3 years almost, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and you know, it's crazy. It's just insane. It's gone by so slow but so fast. And
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. What what does your daughter say about all of this?
she tells me, she says, "Mom, it's not your fault. I know it's not your fault. These people are crazy, and you're my partner. We're partners. I'll be home soon." That's what she says.
That's so awesome.
She's amazing, and we say our prayers every night together over the phone. So it's like I
Uh,
said, she's stronger than me. That's for sure.
right. Well, it's so often that we don't talk about and we forget about these things that because we're always talking about us, the parents, and how it's affected us and what we're doing. We don't talk about our children are just
Yeah,
taken away from their safety blanket, that everything that they know. They're thrown into a random situation that they know nothing about by themselves, and they've got to stand there and fend for themselves. Our
yeah,
kids that are in these situations, if we get them and when we get them home, man, they deserve nothing but as much as they can possibly have for the rest of their lives. If there's lawsuits involved, like in my case and everything, my daughter will get every penny of that because she deserves every penny of that. She's the one that had to go and fight this war. It wasn't me. Yeah, it was hard. It's hard being your dad, and it's hard doing this every day and doing what I'm doing. but we're getting kids home, and we're trying to get kids home, and goddamn it, my kid's coming home, and she will have whatever she wants when she wants it, and I don't give a shit what anybody says when that happens, because she's the trooper. She was 3 when they took her from us. She's 6 now. So, like what these kids go through, they are really the troopers and the champions of all this stuff. And it's amazing. I mean, I wish I had the opportunity to talk to my daughter. I haven't spoke to her in quite some time. When they terminated my rights, they did it because of my podcast. And then, what's that?
I said, no way.
Yeah, I spoke out against them doing just this, and it was my podcast. That's Our Daughter, and that's on Spotify. But it's the one. It's talking my story about what happened, and I threw that up. I gave that to. I even actually notified CPS that I had done it. My counselor and I discussed it as a way for me to vent about the situation and do something about it instead of being angry and being, a lunatic and trying to spout off like an angry man. If I did it some way constructively, it would be a way to go out and announce, because I was like everybody else. I didn't believe that this would happen. I didn't know that this was even remotely close to being capable of happening. And even when they took our daughter, I was like, this is going to be over tomorrow, maybe we have a long weekend without our kid, or something like that. Like, this was just absolutely absurd ride that we went on. And I mean, before we could even blink, they TPR'd us. And ours too was on basic. It was false allegations by the state that I was charged with. And after our TPR, they were all dismissed. Yet my daughter is still in custody of someone else, and now on the adoption hunt. And, I'm still in the fight for her. But it's a ride that you don't need to have, that you should never have to go on. It's barbaric at minimum. At minimum, what they do is look at your kid, probably never even been spanked before, but now you get her coming home and she's got belt marks all over her body. She's got bite marks. She's being locked in a shed. Like, how much did your daughter have to learn and see in a real fast period of time that you are shielding her from and protecting her from?
A whole lot.
And who's going to be there to pick up those pages for us, pick up that tab for us when our kids come home? Because CPS isn't going to be dropping the bills for that. Not that I want a penny of their dirty money, but I will take it for suing the shit out of these people. I will tell you that. But I hope, obviously, like, it's a fight to get my kid home, and just like it is for yours. But like all of us coming together like this we need to promote this. We need to promote our togetherness, because by ourselves we are strong, but together we're going to be unstoppable. Like we've got you today, that now you've joined our fight. So there's 3. How many people are you going to tell? Like, let's get this movement going and get it out there. And, what is it? What have you learned since? I don't know if you knew about CPS prior to any of this, but what did you get from what you thought CPS was to what you think of CPS now? So pre this happening, what did you think of CPS? And now where you're at with CPS, what's your thoughts?
So prior to this, I always told myself that I would never be in this situation, because my sister and my niece and nephews, they were in systems their whole life. I never really paid attention to what she did or how. All I knew was that they were in the system, and it was, it's CPS.
Right.
But I always just told myself I would never do that to my kids. I would never put them in that situation. And now, I always knew it was a bad thing, but not like, unless you followed the rules, your kid would come home.
Right.
And that's totally 110% wrong. Like, the things that I have learned, the things that I have, it's so disturbing. It's so mind blowing. It's so disgusting. It's so like you said, I never in my life thought this would happen to me. It's kind of like a movie. I only thought this could happen in a movie.
Right.
And for it to happen to me, it's just like, wow. And my daughter, just because, like I said, she has a behavioral disorder, ADHD. She's diagnosed with separation anxiety. It's a lot. And these people are disgusting to me.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything ever good out of anything these people do, and it's sad. It's really, really sad.
Right. Isn't there something to be said for a unit that is out there that you can't even find one smidgen of good to make a comment from? Like, there's not even any way for you to sit there and be like, oh, well, maybe this and maybe this. Like, they have such a errorful situation and system that there is no good. Like the amount of cases that they investigate that they get wrong is just astronomical. And if any of us worked at a job that was the numbers and that was the case, we'd be fired in an instant.
It's
You know,
crazy that
it's
none
just
of them have to be licensed either. Like, wait, what? You can come and remove my tickets. You don't have to be licensed. You don't like. You can You can go on Indeed and apply to be a caseworker. That's crazy to me.
right. They get a God badge, but yet they don't even need a license. But you got to drive. You can't even drive a car.
Yeah,
Whoa.
exactly. And it's like,
That's just insanity. It's insanity. Is your caseworker not licensed?
oh yeah, no, my caseworker hasn't been licensed. I believe, if I remember correctly, since 1995. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
and
was going to say, wow.
yeah, he has. It's none of them. Not my investigator, not my caseworker before this one. My caseworker right now, my last court date, he fell asleep in court, dropped his phone, and the judge didn't even say anything.
What?
Yes, yes, like it's insane.
Holy cow. Corey, you have any questions you'd like to ask Tiana?
I am just blown away by this. I have gone through kind of an opposite situation where my child got hurt and nobody did anything. Can't really go into details because said little guy is still around, but I went through a lot, and well, they didn't like me, and I'm sure Darren can confer with this, is that I spoke my mind very religiously and very adamantly. But I guess my question is there anything that we can do to help you in the support of getting your daughter back?
You know, I love that you asked that question because I feel like I've been looking for that for so long through this whole thing about needing that or needing to understand all the laws and understand what's going on and the process, and truthfully, this is amazing. This being able to come here and you guys be able to just listen and just to help let me just kind of vent. It's been one of the best supports like I can even ask for. I got real blessed from meeting Jess and Malibu Dallas and just and finally having you guys, and I just thank you. That's really
We're not going anywhere.
No,
We're not going anywhere.
no.
You're stuck with us. You're
Well,
stuck with us
Yeah.
now. You're part of our crew.
good because you guys might get a little sick of me because I might have a lot of questions.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And
You
so
That's
do
know,
we,
good.
but we try to find the answers, which makes a collaborative effort. And I have said since day one of my battle, I should say, is you're always stronger in numbers.
Yeah.
They can't beat all of us at the same time. They can try, but in one of the things that I did in my custody is I tried to put so many people around me. Counselors, attorneys, counselors for him, IU5, people that as much as I could put between me and the court systems.
Mm-hmm.
Building my son, building the resume that I'm going to make him an offer. They can't say, hey, listen, I can't take him away from dad. Dad's doing an outstanding job.
Mm-hmm.
And that's instead of burying them, which I'd love to have done, but this worked better because now I was the enemy of the court. And my attorney and I had strategized for well over 2 hours one evening. And he said, I think our best course of action is to build your resume. Okay, I'm all about that. And so I was getting government agencies, I was getting counselors so that they couldn't say, or they could say it. Like my son had 10 cavities, 5 caps, a root canal extraction, and abscess at 3 years old. They wanted to blame me, and I'm the one that tried to get him help. He stopped eating and drinking, and I said, I had a caseworker telling me, well, we're going to send somebody up there to investigate you. And I said, I hope you do. I'll have 5 attorneys in your office tomorrow morning. I'm telling you right now, I'll pound sand. And never said anybody. But one of the things they try to do with me is to intimidate me. I'm 6'5" and fully alive. Nope. I don't intimidate easy. My shadow's even scared of me. So that tells you, again, I mean, when it comes to, and here's the thing, mess with me all you want. My child didn't ask for this.
Mhm.
And neither did any of ours. None of ours did. All they wanted to do was have a child. And I get angry that we even have to have this discussion. Yeah, my buddy. Hey, you sleep well, honey. Yeah, it's why I said if there's anything that we can do to help, I mean, I don't know what we can do. We can at least try.
This is great.
Well, like I said, she's stuck with us, and that's going to be the way that it is. We got to make sure that Tiana will get you. We're going to get you all the information that you need. I know that we can hook you up with all of our personal information, so that you'll be able to get in touch with us. Is there anything else that you want to get out before we take off from this segment? Is there anything else you want to say before we end this segment with you?
No, just thank you so very much. I hate to kind of like rush off, but my daughter just texted me saying that we're going to do our prayers.
Oh no!
So
all right. Yes. See you later,
I
Tiana.
appreciate
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Tiana. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was nice.
Yes.
That's so nice. Oh, there's Fowler. Gee whiz, Fowler, where have you been?
No, I just wanted to say with our scrolling our marquee here, could you put the number, our telephone number, and our
Where have you been?
contact information? Because what we've got here is the harm of removal.
Yeah, that's a study.
By university.
Yeah, that's a study that's done out of the University of Baltimore that everybody should check out. That's good stuff.
Okay.
Did you get to hear that? Did you get to hear Tiana's interview?
I heard, I didn't quite hear all of the beginning, but I heard a sufficient amount of it. Yes, very compelling.
I didn't know what had happened to you. I didn't see you at the bottom there. But was there anything that you wish that we would have asked that you didn't hear us ask? Is there a question?
Oh, no, not at all. No. I just would encourage her, Tiana, and anyone else to please reach out to us at the telephone number that you see in the scrolling marquee, or email us, and we would be delighted to speak with you in person and in private and at length, and do our very best to connect you with resource people, or opportunities, or at the very least, camaraderie and community, at the very least.
And you know what? We got a good fan of ours right here. Miss Candace Edwards is asking us how we're all doing. If you guys want to say hi to Candace.
Hi, Candace. How are you? Yeah. It's been a tough week, a very, very difficult week. If it's okay to mention, I went to court Monday for the dependency hearing for my granddaughter, and it was a men in the trenches moment. The judge informed me that my motion to intervene was dismissed because I don't have standing to intervene.
Oh my God.
Then he, there was someone from the city attorney's office, but then
where's this?
There wasn't the right person from the city attorney's office, so our case was continued again until February 13th. I'm sorry.
Don't you have 235324?
I do. I already have full physical and legal court-awarded custody of my granddaughter in my county of jurisdiction, but I still had a dependency judge tell me that I don't even have standing to intervene. Right. It's a little bit like someone telling me that, well, you can only grow to reach 5 feet when I'm already 5 feet 8.
Right. That's just amazing.
It's utterly disgusting, utterly despicable. Can I name him now since he's he's an elected official.
I don't care what you do. You go right ahead.
It's okay. He's elected. This person was elected in 2015. And I think it's time that we did what we could to bring his activities, is completely in judicial bearing in the courtroom, yelling, screaming, threatening people to light. And the prolonged agony of 17 months of keeping my granddaughter in hostage when I am not just her maternal grandmother, but I am the legal custodial parent. So, for those of you who may not be familiar, if one of the parents is, let's just say, not available or not active as a parent, then you, as a grandparent, by law in Pennsylvania, can take that person's place. So, by law, by statute, I see you put up my statute here. In Pennsylvania, we have a ruling. It's I'm so sorry. It's Pennsylvania Domestic Relations, forgive me, Chapter 23, 5324, which is what I have to discuss at each and every episode, because this ruling allows a father, a mother, a grandparent, a great grandparent, or a relative or a kin person to intervene when there is an open dependency matter and actually be awarded custody. That person has standing for custody. I have custody.
Right.
The judge just told me that I don't have standing for
Makes
custody.
no freaking sense. No, sir.
And my granddaughter is now where? Don't know. Who saw her last? When she was last medically kidnapped from my arms, October the 7th, 2022. Did she eat today? I don't know. Is someone mistreating her like, I'm sorry, Tiana's daughter? I don't know. She's a baby. She can't speak for herself.
Right, she can't eat different.
Is she really alive or dead? Because the court is even denying me recognition as a party, so I think that means they're under no obligation to tell me where she's alive or dead. The baby's been denied all access to her family. By law, she's mandated to have access to her family. By law, she's mandated to have access and placement with her siblings. Denied. Everything denied. Every single ruling of law by the Constitution, the federal provisions of law, the state provisions of law, every single thing has been violated. And there we are. When will it end? Who knows?
And here's the crazy thing. You already have the other two siblings.
I have the other two siblings. I have submitted motion after motion. I have I bled out about $50,000 in defective attorneys who are ready, willing, and able to take the money and not even file a motion. And it is not a compliment to have an attorney that you just hired who becomes the attorney of record to turn to you and say, oh, Dr. Fowler, you do an amazing job at writing these motions. You should really get paid for this. Maybe I can hire you. That's not a compliment.
Right.
I'm putting it mildly when I say that's not a compliment.
Right.
I just paid you to do the work. It's a little bit like paying the dentist and then having to extract your own molar.
Right. It is the truth. Absolutely, it's the truth. Candace is right on. It's child trafficking. That's what this stuff is. I mean, this is all, whether she's supposed to be in this state or around you, right? Isn't that the rules? She's supposed to be in your county still, but you don't even have any clue where she is.
Absolutely. And at the very minimum, Philadelphia County, since they decided that they wanted to intervene, could still collect the money with concurrent jurisdiction, which means that my granddaughter would be placed with me and they would be dealing with the parent. Go ahead and deal with the parent. Take the next 10 to 20 years while you're waiting for her to reach the benchmarks.
Right.
I'm waiting for that with bated breath, since the oldest grandchild is 21 years old.
Right.
You have a parent who's lost both of her children already. What are we waiting for? We're well beyond the first 6-month period when the goals are supposed to change. We're moving into the 17 to 22-month period. No, there just doesn't seem to be any prospect on the horizon for the court. Oh, by the way, even though the hearing was continued until February the 13th, guess what? They still issued a permanency order saying that the best placement for my granddaughter is with foster care. Now, an order was issued, but we couldn't proceed without the city attorney. Can anybody tell me how that happens? I thought if the city attorney isn't there or one of the stakeholders is not there, we cannot proceed, and we cannot issue any
Right,
orders.
but they can order a permanency order for you, but not having them there.
And my custody petition, yes, I've had to file another custody petition before the court. It's a little bit like filing for a different birth certificate after you're my age. It's utterly ridiculous. It's still not heard.
Unbelievable.
It's held in abeyance.
This is what they do, people. This is what they do. This is not right.
And this is family court with a goal of reunification.
Yeah, Candace says, I bet you if you charge these folks, they'll think differently. And I bet you, Candace, you're absolutely right. If you put them under, went after their insurances and their bonds, which people, we need to start doing that as a group here. We need to start attacking these people financially. And I know that doesn't help in the feeling of the broken heart and all of that stuff with the child being missing, but it's a way for us to throw shots at them while we're going through this battle, ourselves, because we got to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. It's not just about our kids with this fight. It's about everybody's, nobody should be going through this anymore. Nobody should ever
Candace, you're absolutely right. Pardon me, Darren, darling. Candace, you're absolutely right. And that's why one of my personal goals is to take down that sovereign immunity. Who else in America that you can name has sovereign immunity? Name somebody, name an entity. I'm waiting. Right.
Right.
A legal legitimation that was done on me.
Oh,
okay, so I see protection against taking property without due compensation. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad Company versus City of Chicago. And this came in, thank you so much, from Candace. Candace, you're also bringing up something that's been very important in our movement, and it's something that we really have to address as citizens. And that is the fact that I will propose that even from the inception of our country, there's two things that we did not do. One of them is register ourselves as humans. And the other thing is that means humans with the rights of entitlement to our children, our sovereign rights over our children, because the way that we are being treated and the way our children are just kidnapped anytime, any place, tells us that we are essentially chattel.
Right.
And therefore we think we own our children, but we don't. This has been going on for a long time. When I was a young teacher years ago, we used to have debates about who owns the children. Does the state own your children, or do you own your children? And I will posit that the only thing we really own with respect to our children are the liabilities.
Yeah, that's it.
Because chattel cannot own property. So therefore, we're unable to claim our children as our property because we ourselves are chattel.
Oh my God, this is just too much for bearing. Too much. We need to make it stop. Fowler, unfortunately, there goes our time again. 10208. Here we are.
There goes our time.
I really want to thank Tiana tonight for coming out and having the guts to come out here and tell us her story. Candace has got one more thing to say. Incorporate. What do you say, Candace? Incorporate doctrine. Candace, we're going to get you on here for the next show so you can come in here and you can spout off some legal goodness with us. So if Fowler's all right with it, I'm thinking Friday we'll get Candace in on this with us. Candace will be our guest.
Absolutely.
And we'll get her in here.
Absolutely.
If she's ready.
Absolutely.
That's Southern Belle ready to splatter out some words for these child protective people. But as always, Fowler, last words?
I want to uplift everyone, you, Darren, Corey, Candace. I'm so sorry. Young lady who was just
Tiana.
here. Tiana, so sorry. And again, especially for the dads, I just want you to know that the most merciful God who created you to be sustained and to sustain yourself. Don't give up. Don't hurt yourself. And don't forget that you have value beyond all the gold and anything else that can be measured. You are worthy. You are worthwhile. Stand up and stand for yourself and for your children. Don't give up. Don't be tired. And join us. God bless you all.
Oh, Fowler, you got such good words. I just want everybody to be safe for these next couple of days. We'll be back in 47 hours, I believe, something like that. Bring your friends. Hey, check out our website, ballercps.com. There's a lot of cool stuff there. We're just getting ready and we're starting to get that thing going. So people, please take a look at that. Again, that's ballercps.com. Obviously, you can email us at info@ballercps.com. There's also the phone number, which is, I just had it in my head the other day as a jingle, and it's 8175. That's the wrong thing. I'm sorry, what an arrogant thing. It's 571-494-8133. So check that out. But as for now, Fowler and I, we are out of here. Have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for watching.
Good night.
All right. Yes, sir. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. All right. This. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to leave you all with this right here. So thank you much for this. This. And there we go.
If I were the Prince of Darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.